We now move to the principle for sound banking management of operation risk. This is a descriptive topic that addresses the principle of sound operation risk management, and is proposed by Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. There are three lines of defense approach, and these lines include business line management, independent operational risk management, and independent review. The committee suggests that a bank should have a corporate operation risk function, that is CORF, that is commensurate with size and complexity of the banking organization. We are going to look at 11 principles of operation risk management, which is outlined by Basel. The specific responsibilities of the board of director and senior management should be on how they relate these 11 principles of operation risk management. So, critical component of bank's operational risk management framework documentation, knowing the features of an effective environmental control is something that should be taken care of. And managing technology and outsourcing is another thing that we'll look at. So, what is the meaning of the term line of defense? And there are three of them in the Basel model for operation risk governance. The Basel Committee of Banking Supervision define operational risk as risk of loss resulting from inadequate or failed internal process, people or system, or from external events. The committee states that the definition excludes strategic and reputation risk but includes legal risk. So, reputation and strategic are not operation risk. Strategic decision is not operation risk. Now, operation risk is inherent in banking activities. Risk range from those arising from natural disaster, hurricanes, and they range to fraud. And the committee tends to improve operational risk management throughout the banking system. Sound operating risk management practices cover governance, the risk management environment, and the role of disclosure. Operation risk management must be fully integrated to the overall risk management process of the bank. There are three common lines of defense employed by banks to control operational risk. The first is business line management. Business line management is the first line of defense. Banks now more than ever have multiple lines of business, all with varied degree of operation risk. Bank must be identical and managed within the various product activities. Is not something that's happening. So bank is not identical, and risk must be identified and managed within the process, product, activities, and we have to look at different processes that the bank is doing. The second is an independent operation risk management function, and the second line of defense is independent operational risk management function. The third is independent review of operation risk. The review may be conducted internally with personnel independent of the process under review or externally. So, corporate operation risk function, this was the second line of defense. Let's try to delve in what it means. Now, to look into the corporate operation risk function, we need to be sure about its structure and its responsibility and how it differs for a small and a large bank. The bank specific business line monitor, measure, report, and manage operational and other risk. The corporate operational risk function, also known as the corporate operation risk function CORF, is a functionally independent group that complements the business line risk management operation. CORF is responsible for designing, implementing, and maintaining the bank's operational risk framework responsibility. And these responsibilities include measurement of operation risk, establishing a reporting process for operational risk, establishing risk committees to measure, monitor operational risk, reporting operational risk issues to the board of directors. So the Corp must assess and challenge each business line's contribution to risk measurement, management, and reporting. A more complex banking institution will typically have more formalized approach to implement a line of defense against operation risk, including the implementation of CORF is one thing which complex banks should look at. So, for example, a large bank may have a fully staffed group skilled specifically in operation risk management, while a smaller bank may use a simple fold operation risk management into a broader risk management function of the bank. Now, principles of operational risk management, and there are 11 fundamental principles that you should know. Once you know the 11 principal function, the next topic is the role of board and senior management, and then we have the framework and tools for identifying and accessing operation risk, and the features of effective control environment. So before that, let's look at the 11 fundamental principles of operation risk as suggested by Basel Committee. So the first is maintenance of strong risk management culture led by bank's board of directors and senior manager. This means that both individual and corporate values and attitudes should support the bank's commitment to managing operational risk. The operational risk framework must be developed and fully integrated into the overall risk management process of the bank. The board should approve and periodically review the framework. The board must identify the types and levels of operational risk the bank is willing to assume, as well as appropriate risk appetite and tolerance statement. Consistent with the bank's risk appetite and risk tolerance, senior manager must develop a well-defined governance structure. The structure must be implemented and maintained throughout the bank various line of business, its processes and its system. Senior management must understand the risk and the incentives related to those risks inherent in banks' lines of business. New line of business products, process and system should require approval process that assesses the potential operational risk. The process for monitoring operational risk and material exposure to loss should be put in place by senior management and supported by senior management. Bank must put strong internal control, risk mitigation and risk transfer strategies in order to manage the operation risk. Banks must have plans in place to survive the event of major business disruption. That is, business operations must be resilient, and the bank should discern that are clear enough that outside stakeholders can assess the bank's approach to operational risk management. So what you want is that the external people should be able to understand what are their approaches for risk management. So we have the role of board and senior member. So with respect to principle 1, the board and directors of senior management should provide a sound foundation for strong risk management culture. A strong risk management culture will generally mitigate the likelihood of operation risk loss. Then establish a code of conduct or ethics for our employee that outlines exceptions for ethical behavior. The board of directors should support senior management in producing a code of conduct. Risk management activities should reinforce the code of conduct. Providing risk training throughout all levels of bank. And similarly, we have some explanation of all 11 principles. Then we have the operational risk management framework. Now, operational risk management framework must define, describe and classify operational risk and operational losses. The component of the framework should be fully integrated into bank's overall risk management plan. The framework must be documented in the board of directors approved policy. Framework documentation, which is overseen by board of directors and senior management, should, and I'm going to look at around 8-10 points, describe reporting lines, accountabilities, within the government structure used to manage operational risk, describe the risk assessment tool, describe the bank's risk appetite and tolerance, describe risk limits, describe the approved risk mitigation and strategies. With respect to inherent and residual risk exposure, the bank's method for establishing risk limit and monitoring risk limit, establishing risk reported process and management information system, establish a common language or taxonomy for operation risk in terms of how to create consistency of a risk identification and management, establish a process for independent review of operation risk, require a review of established policy and procedure. The last topic here is features of effective control management, and the features are a control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, monitoring activities. And then the final topic is managing technology and outsourcing risk. So technology risk are similar to general operational risk, and they should be taken care by right governance, policy and procedure, written risk appetite, tolerance statement, implement of risk control environment. And outsourcing risk uses a third party to perform activities or function for firm. Outsourcing may reduce cost, provide expertise, expand bank offering and or improve bank services. Outsourcing policies should include process and procedures for determining which activities can be outsourced, selecting service provider, due diligence, structuring the outsourcing agreement, ownership of data, termination right, confidentiality agreement, monitor risk of arrangement including financial health of service provider, implement a risk control environment and assess the control environment at service provider, develop contingency plan, clearly define responsibilities of the bank and the service provider. So that was it for the very small lecture. I hope it added something to the current knowledge base. Thank you for listening.